Afro Svengalis. Let me tell you, people, I have these videos. I always do this that I start, and I wasn't able to finish them. So now I got 6 in the hopper. So what I decided to do is jump up to this video and make sure I finish it. It has to do with manners, and it's related to manners, and it's related to the Umar jealousy sector, where you have these fits being pitched, this envy, this anger, this resentment, and this jealousy over the relationships that others have. I'm going to show you this intro. It's the audio of an episode that went down, and I'm using this so I can draw comparisons up against what I'm going to be addressing. Stay tuned, and I will return.
Ma'am, a lot of times when men... Ma'am, you're not going to overtalk me on my show, ma'am. You're not going to overtalk me on my show, ma'am. Ma'am, they didn't ask you, did they want, do you want to get married? That's not what happened.
Were you there? So how do you know what happened? Were you there? How do you know what happened?
I know you're not married, ma'am. I know you're not married, ma'am.
I'm not married because I don't want to be married.
I know you're not married to a six-figure woman, ma'am.
I have a high value
ladies and gentlemen,
over six-figure.
This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. We have ladies that will come on to the panel, and they will try to say all of this craziness, and it's just to make them feel better at night. This is how they sleep at night. Marriage is the goal.
Y'all not understand that I'm like really tripping with Gal right now, and she really, it's like it's all going over her head. Like I'm really fucking with her. And mind you, in the actual live stream, and we'll get into this on Being Blunt, I said I'm playing devil's advocate. She came to the show pissed the fuck off because of the topic. First of all, during the entire show, is in the chat pitching the bitch, just mad to be mad, and then gets on the panel to express her disdain for no reason. Let's keep going.
Marriage is the goal.
If I wanted to be married, I could be married. Again, I have a high value man on my phone right now, begging me to come back to New York.
Plead with you to let them talk, ma'am. Ma'am, not on my show, ma'am. Not on my show, ma'am. Ma'am, I don't know where do you think you are, ma'am? I am King Kong crazy, not you.
Let me revisit. This went down a couple years ago. Plus, I didn't watch the entire show at the time. I watched the beginning. Well, they had 3 women. They had 2 older women, maybe in their 40s or 50s. Then you had a younger generation. Younger woman, maybe in her early 30s. And there was a very interesting conversation that they were all having. KKC, Clay, Dr. Clay, and the 3 women. So I was getting ready to go out. So I had it on and I was listening. I left before the Social Security bandit Mona came on the panel. So I go out. I'm enjoying my night out. And all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up. Oh, my goodness. This is happening and that's happening and this and that. It was really bizarre. Maybe a couple days later, because I kept getting emails about it. And I sent an email. The video was taken down. Like the live stream was taken down. And that's when I learned what happened. It's up to you. Was that a nice thing to do to someone you call a friend and supporter? No. But what I want to point out is it's your decision whether to stay or go. And I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell I'm going to let anybody treat me like that. I would be out of there so freaking fast. Again, it's up to you. They tried that shit in and around the Umar jealousy sector. They try to act nice to you at first, then you go to their channel, and then they turn around and start trying to treat you like shit. I'm gone. so fast. But some subjects are gluttons for punishment. Not only they're gluttons for punishment, they expect you to tolerate what they're going to dish out. Although this occurred between KKC and Mona, we've seen how Mona turns around and expects others to tolerate the behavior that she does. It got to the point where we're talking about federal crimes. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about anybody else. You don't have a right to perpetrate federal offenses because you're pissed off at somebody. She didn't have a right to look into KKC's Social Security records. The list goes on. You don't have a right to break the law, but I'm going to focus on some character traits, some manners. And these character traits and manners are very controversial because they have caused subjects to go buck wild. Because why? Those of us have maintained these character traits and these manners, if you will. This is a way of life. Doesn't mean that you're perfect. Doesn't mean you're infallible. Doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. Doesn't mean you won't drift off. But at the very base level, if you adhere to these doctrines, you know how much stress in your life will be eradicated or reduced? We can't totally reduce stress in our lives. The nature of being black folks, it's exacerbated. But you most certainly can avoid these unnecessary circumstances if you have some standards. You make those standards very clear and you adhere to them. So when you have situations where others are so angry at you because you're adhering to your standards, watch them try their hardest to pull you off track and they want you to go on their route. They get angrier and angrier. They get more resentful. They get more abusive. They become more threatening. They start to harass not just you and your family. But I'm going to talk about some of these traits. This is an introduction of sorts. And when you cannot be pulled off your square, you just wait. Watch and see the level and degree of anger. It was up to the Social Security bandit to hightail it out of that chat or that panel, and she chose to stay. Does it make it right what KKC did? No. But if you're not adhering to your own standards, don't try to go after other people because they are. You can have 150, 200, 300, 1,000, 10,000 demons. You know what they're going to end up doing? Eating each other alive, cannibalizing each other. If this did not come about in your formative years, it doesn't mean that it's lost upon you. It does not mean if you strayed away from a path that is positive and productive, that you cannot return and benefit and prosper for what I'm going to show you. These are what you call manners of survival. You can survive. You can be prosperous. You can be content. You can enjoy life if you are really buying in to what I'm going to tell you about. So the first doctrine is don't apologize for anyone or anything that you like, love, respect, revere, look up to, support. What is the purpose of apologizing or being ashamed of something that you claim to like and love? If you have shame associated with it, it's not real. Do you have the guts to stand up and acknowledge and declare what you support, what you believe in, what you like, what you love? Or are you consumed with what others are thinking? You have to answer that for yourselves. Adhere to loyalty. Loyalty is not fluid. Either you're loyal or you're not. I don't say it should be blind loyalty. Be loyal to someone who adheres to your values at the base level. You don't have to agree with everything they say. But let's be clear. It's miles apart. Backstabbing and loyalty. Don't try to pretend that you all don't know what backstabbing is. You know when you're stabbing somebody in the back. You can't be loyal and a backstabber at the same time. No matter what smile you put on your face, no matter how you pretend to like somebody, either you're loyal or you're not. Choose a law-abiding path. You don't choose a law-abiding path, you have a very hard road to toe. Now, I want to reemphasize, which I've always stated, this is about being reform-minded. Just because you've had issues in the past doesn't mean your life is over. What about here and now? Are you truly reform-minded? And we know that subjects know whether or not they're reform-minded. It's not a big mystery. This is not rocket science, people. Keep confidences. And we know there's always exceptions. But what is your inclination? When someone tells you something in confidence, is your mind racing ahead to who can I tell this to now? How quickly can I get this out to the masses? When can I schedule a live stream? I'm just using live stream because I'm here on YouTube. Some subjects pursue sensitive information only for the purposes of spreading it around. There's no motivation to keep confidences. It's hard for me to fathom someone who operates like I just described, and then now they're going to be a loyal person who keeps confidences. No. Either you keep confidences or you do not. Obviously, there are exceptions. Maintain self-control. If you could see yourselves, and I'm talking about these subjects who don't have any semblance of self-control, it is embarrassing. It is downright embarrassing that decent people will feel embarrassed for those who don't have enough sense to act right. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to give them any passes, but it is embarrassing to see a human being not have control of themselves. And they somehow think by losing control, they will be able to control others. That is impossible. If you do not have self-control, you cannot even begin to think you can control others. Well, we're seeing that play out right now. We see the Social Security bandit just all out there posting all this stuff as if it's going to what? Posting all of the things that makes a Social Security bandit lose control, which is not hard to do. All the things that are said about the Social Security bandit that were said by others. Let's start with others first. She turns around and starts to heap the same behavior onto others. And just continues and continues and continues because she didn't get the reaction that she wanted. She wanted those that she targeted to feel like her. She didn't get that outcome. She's never going to get that outcome. So she kept escalating to the point where she's perpetrating federal offenses and dragging other people as co-conspirators in the mix. Where are we standing with that? We're not responsible for her criminal acts, for their criminal acts, but they continue to try to make you feel responsible. They even continue to commit even more crimes on top of that, like witness tampering and witness intimidation. You first perpetrated a crime against several people, and now you're trying to silence these people by intimidation and tampering. Now, let's be clear. You don't need to feel intimidated or tampered with. It's the purpose of their acts. What's the purpose of the acts that are being perpetrated? To silence, to harass, to target, to try and make others feel in fear of defending their rights or moving forward. Well, I don't know who the hell's falling for that. It's not going to matter. Anything that comes out of the Social Security bandit's mouth or whoever is involved as a co-conspirator, that's simply being documented. Now, we do see, and this is very important, a lot of content's coming down. Why is that? If you're not doing anything wrong, why would you be snatching down content? And I'm being very specific about those involved in the criminal acts. Trying to use a straw person or a patsy, that's not going to be any better. It's still the same thing. It's still a conspiracy. You don't have self-control. It is self-destructive. The consequences are going to befall those who don't have the self-control. You're not going to eradicate every single person. What's the plan? You're going to sit here and take out everybody whose social security number you took? Is that the plan? Right. Well, none of us are worried about being taken out by the Social Security bandit, although she likes to threaten violence. We simply report these acts to law enforcement. Maintain self-control. It's the best way to keep yourself out of jail, prison, and off probation. Remain reliable. There is nothing more of a bigger turnoff than someone who isn't reliable. Usually those who are unreliable like to postulate that you can depend on them. Some of them just love the feeling of thinking that they snatched the carpet out from under you. But watch and see their level of expectation. It's to the high heavens. They expect you to do things for them that they would never even consider doing for you. Like, for example, they will run around to these different chats and talk shit about you. But the second they see you sitting in a chat where they're the topic, or even you're making comments, the sky is falling. That's okay. Don't assume responsibility for the contorted thought processes of those who try to make you feel guilty. Remain reliable within yourself. It is not your problem if someone else chooses to be unreliable. Just don't rely on them. That's one less thing you have to worry about. But trust and believe they will continue to impose expectations upon you that you be reliable for them. It's your choice whether or not you want to play that game. I say it's one less thing you have to worry about. Then, this is very important. Dispense the truth, because listen, dispensing lies can get you caught up in ways you can't even imagine. You don't know how I wish that bogus bullshit Catherine Brown lawsuit went to actual trial. We knew it never was going to get anywhere. You can have the highest of high motivation ever existing in terms of needing and wanting and wishing and hoping something that you're saying is true. You want a court to believe all these things that you're professing. You feel it. You think it. You suspect it. But guess what? You don't have any proof. You don't have any factual evidence of all of these strong feelings and hopes and beliefs that those that you're targeting are doing what you are doing. What you're doing is on display for the world to see. What you're claiming other people are doing, there's simply no evidence. And this is why the Catherine Brown case was going nowhere. This is why all of these claims are being made by these demons, these co-conspirators who, with Mona De Leon, Social Security bandit, Alexis, however you want to pronounce or describe her, this is the person who headed it up, who perpetrated all of these crimes and pulled other people into it, then got online and lied about it. I got your Social Security number when you're sitting in the dentist chair. Come on. The medical field has essentially eradicated most Social Security number references on records. But that's a lie. We know she broke into the Social Security Administration records. And when I say broke into, she had no business accessing the records that she did while working there or a drinking buddy. However it went down, it's a federal crime. Be a truth teller. It does not depend on whether somebody likes you. Tell the truth, dispense the truth, have the backup, have the documentation, have the videos. Yes, even the deleted videos and live streams. Taking down videos and live streams doesn't eradicate the truth. Every single time we've made reports, you can't accuse us of lying because we have the documentation. Stand on the truth and let the liars continue to lie. They will be debunked every single time. Most important, don't try to force others to adopt your value system. If they don't adopt your value system, they just don't. Let them be. Lead them to their own devices. Let them continue to be angry. Do not try to appease those who are angry at you. That is the form of control they try to assume over your emotions, the guilt tripping. And we know how the guilt tripping works among our people. What are you doing? You're not on code. You're sitting here, you're hurting another Black person. I can't like this because you don't know how to keep things on YouTube. Right. They target your family, your friends, your employers, and all this other stuff. They can't get anywhere. They're not getting anywhere because they don't have any ammunition, no tangible proof of any wrongdoing. But then they turn around and want it to stay on YouTube when you have the tangible proof, when you have the evidence, when you have the timeline, when you have essentially years of evidence. You have the evidence that shows what you are saying is true. Stand on truth. Don't be pressured into lying because you want to get ahead. Lying is another form of control. Rather, I'll say an attempted form of control. I need to get ahead of this. This is not going the way I want, so I'm going to jump up and start lying on you. At least me telling this lie will shift attention away from my behavior. I'll just keep generating more lies. So now they're going to focus on the lie that I'm saying rather than the fact that I perpetrated federal offenses. Don't fall into the trap. Continue to focus on the truth. Now, I have so much more I want to say about these traits. Stand on truth. Don't apologize for anything that's near and dear to you. To appease those who don't have any interest in your well-being, don't care about you, never have and never will. What's the benefit of that? What you might end up doing, losing valuable relationships because you can't take the heat. And when you walk away from valuable relationships, the demons, they have acquired you, and they're going to do what? The cannibalization process will continue. Listen, folks, I have much more coming your way. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.